Hello everybody, ciao a tutti and welcome to Art with Ms.B. Today we are going to spend some time together with another beautiful design. This time it is inspired by trees and nature. Not that it's something new because I know that you know that I love to get inspired by nature and by my surrounding. And we are going to work with different type of very curvy lines. For this practice, you don't need to have any particular experience. It's a very beginner friendly. You can do it by yourself, with your friends, in family, with your kids, and maybe you can play around with different color palettes. During the video, I will guide you through the steps and also give you different options and opportunities that you will have to make it different and adapt it to your own personality and artistic skills. For this practice, you need your art journal or a mixed media paper, a pencil for drawing, fine tip black Sharpie, regular tip black Sharpie, and alcohol markers. Mine are Shadow Art. As you know, I like them very much. You can buy them on Amazon or in their website. And if you don't have my brand, you can use any brand that you have available. If you do not have alcohol markers, but you would like still to do the practice, you can do it maybe with coloring pencil. It will take you a little longer to color, or maybe just with regular markers. Okay, remember that you need to adapt the videos that I propose you to your own availability of time, how much time do you have, materials that you have, how do you feel about it. Remember, you can do the practice with me. You can watch the video and do it afterwards at your own convenience and time. So maybe because you want to propose it to your kids or grandkids, that would be a good idea if you watch it first and then you can do it again all together. You can pause the video as many times as you want and you wish, and remember that you do not have to copy exactly what I do on my paper, because as I always say in school to my students, it is important that you make your own choices. Sometimes you just want to go along with me, and that is fantastic because you relieved the stress of choices, mostly if you're a very beginner, or maybe that this day you don't have you're not in the right mood, right? But still you want to do some nice holistic and organic practice. Remember to subscribe to this channel. Remember to let me know in the comments how the practice go. Remember that you can ask questions if you are a member. If you decide to support this channel with membership, you have early access to my materials and preferred, of course, conversation in comment. And so I can answer your comments really quickly, and I can be of support for whatever you need. Remember that I have a beautiful online shop you can visit, and all the information are in the description box. I'm going to switch the camera so we can start. Ciao. Okay, friends, this is my journal, and I'm going to create this frame to reduce a little bit of space, and also because it's something that I do on every design and creates consistency in my journal. You can do it with the rulers, you can do it, differently, or just use the whole page. Now I'm gonna proceed with pencil, just in case there is something that I want and I need to change in the design, I can. We are going to start to develop this beautiful whimsical tree. So we start with one side of the trunk, and then we use very nice curvy lines as a sort of an interpretation of branches, right? We create nice variations. Now we proceed to create the second part of the the trunk of the trees, and then we develop other branches until we kind of fulfill the space, and we leave it as it is, okay? Now we are going to connect this as well. So once we will do the black, it will be it will make sense. We can already switch to a black markers or Sharpie, doesn't matter. And we go over these lines if we are happy with them. If you need to make any modification or variation, feel free to do so. For example, probably I will add the one more extension of the branch to go over here, and maybe one over here, just because I want to truly fulfill the space. Now I'm going to outline what I have with the pencil. In case you need to erase the pencil underneath, you will be able to do so. otherwise it will automatically disappear once the design will be entirely colored. We want these black lines to be nice and thick, so you can apply a little extra pressure if you need to. And then with the black, since we already have it in our hand, we are going to color the trunk of our whimsical tree. Now we put aside our black, and with the pencil we are going to design leaves, because this is a whimsical tree, it's not realistic. We can do like drops, pretend that you are designing very puffy drops. Don't make them too perfect. Don't stress yourself about the fact that some of them will be bigger, some of them will be smaller, right? And we are going to fulfill as much as possible the space of that we have available around the branches. Of course, the leaves will change directions. They will go alongside the branches, and this creates a lot of movement and a nice, visual interest. So we're gonna do the same with every single branch. And actually this whimsical tree, the inspiration was from the environment. As you know, I like to walk in nature, and I do it, as often as I can. When I'm in school, of course, I can mostly do it on a Friday or Thursday afternoon when I go home a little earlier than usual, or during the weekend. But now that I'm on a break, I try to go every day, except today that is raining, and I'm very glad for the rain. It's just raining a lot and it's very windy also, so not very pleasant to be outside. But we have beautiful trees that are blossoming, and some of them are packed with new tender leaves or flowers. And today, because of the wind and the rain, all of these leaves and flowers are falling on the ground, and that was my inspiration for this design that I'm proposing you today. This is a good, simple design that everybody can make and be successful. So instead to stress yourself about complicated design that might leave you a little frustrated at the beginning, you can entirely focus on the process, and you can entirely focus on the movement of your hand and the pencil on the paper, working on your fine motor skills, on your hand muscle. If you're recovering, for example, and you need to rehabilitate your hands, this is a beautiful exercise. If you want to do a nice art project with your family or with your friends, this is perfect, because as I say, you will be able to see the different personality coming out from the designs from different people doing the same. You can also offer, as I always encourage you, variation in the color palette. So I will use some colors. That doesn't mean that you all have to use the same colors that I use. Maybe you can find as well inspiration in your natural environment according to where you live. and which is the season that your uh, country is experiencing now, and then you can make decisions, right, on your paper. Or you can just follow like your instinct and what you like. Maybe you can just choose the colors that uh, are your favorite or they resonate with you for different reasons. So it would be beautiful, for example, if you're doing this project with your kids, or if you're homeschooling children, it's a beautiful, relaxing activity. You can set some nice, relaxing music in the background, and then you can all do the practice with me, or you can watch the video and then propose the practice in your own way and at your own convenience. And by tracing over and over the same element, we create this sense of rhythm and repetition. So we are setting basically the rhythm and therefore the mood that we want to give to this piece. Now, for mine, I'm going to use 2 red, old red number 2 and deep red number 10 if you're using Shadow Art markers. I'm going to start with the deep red, and I will color as many leaves as I feel without a precise order, leaving some gaps so I can fulfill them then with the other red. Very nice. This is something truly relaxing and simple, so we can use these as a sort of a create a meditative state of mind in which we are truly present to the moment. We follow our hands on the paper and we focus maybe on our breathing, right? We can breathe in and out from the nose very slowly. If you need to take some breaks, take some breaks. Of course, if you feel that your hands hurt a little bit, pause the video. Remember that these videos are for you, and you can and you must adapt them to your own need and availability of time, space, and also personal disposition. When we do such designs, they are very basic and simple, but they give a really, really pretty results. We can truly focus on the endurance, right? So if you're able to be patient and to work all the way until the end of the design without rushing, without leaving behind any details, right? After the coloring, we are going to color the background, then we are going to do outline and a very quick tiny pattern inside these leaves. And so it takes time and effort more than technique and knowledge. So it is a beautiful opportunity to train also some skills that goes a little bit beyond the paper, right? The artistic skill, but they will truly bring great benefits to your life. And if you would like to know a little more about different benefit of art practice and this type of art practice, I encourage you to visit my shop online, and the address is still www.artwithms.b.com, all lower cases and all no space. And you will find a section that is called blog, when I publish once per week articles that I like to write about the importance of art practices, the different practices, and so the different benefits. I ask questions, so I open conversation and reflections. You can like the post and you can also comment, and I will be happy to read your comment and engage in a further conversation, right? Or you can just share your own experience. For example, if you are doing these practices with me and you have been doing them for a while, you should now see and notice difference not only in knowledge that you have about the basic element and principle of art and design, but also a little more endurance and patience, ability to check and take care of details, but most of all, something that is really important and dear to me, you should be able to notice if you feel a little more at peace, a little more calm, if you feel a little more focused, for example, and overall a better emotional balance, right? So I am curious and I would love to have a deeper conversation and enlarge this community more and more, because I feel that now more than ever, with all the isolation that that comes from this advanced technology and AI and social media and blah, 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 and all online platform, that as we see, they're very, very useful because they can bring great benefit if they are properly used and understood. But to me, it's really important now to try our best to have a dialogue, conversations, right? And discussions, important discussions about topics that are important to us, and they can make a positive impact on our lives as well as on communities, and more extensive, as a society, right? We need to reconnect. And so that's one of my main motivation for having this YouTube channel and the blog in my website. So I encourage you to visit, subscribe, comment, ask a question, because the interactions is important. If you need to take a break, take a break. But if you can do it in once, do it in one time with me. You feel it in your hands, definitely in the muscle, which means that you're doing a fantastic exercise for your hands. And the more you practice, the better you will train your fine motor skills, your coordination skills, and your muscles as well. If you wanted to use more than 2 colors, you were totally free to do so. Now that I look at the tree with all this red, it actually reminds me also of beautiful cherry trees that somehow I grew up with because I was born and raised in Rome, in Italy, right? So it's a big city. There are not like many yards, or, we live mostly in apartment. However, my grandma's sister, we were very, very, very close with her. She lived in a small apartment on the first floor, but she was a very dear friend with her neighbor who lived below her on the ground floor. And this small apartment had, in fact, a little yard with a huge cherry tree. And as a kid, we were all friends. So the lady, her name was Italia, like the country, and she would let us to go and pick up the cherries when they were ready. So it was a kind of a big deal. I'm looking for an extra fine black, which I will find it later. It's okay. Now I want to color the background. For the background, I'm choosing a 178 pale turquoise. You can choose any other colors that you would like to. And if you have the big tip like mine, you can use the big tips, or you can use just like the small tips mostly to go around. Now, you know that this, when we have to fill spaces, it's a little tedious, which means that is a little annoying, and it will kind of provoke us a little bit, like it will make us feel a little frustrated or, impatient, because it's kind of annoying. But this is also a life lesson, right? So when we work on art project, we also work on our different type of moral and character, and moral qualities. For example, endurance, perseverance. We need to finish what we start, and we want to finish well. So there is no need to rush. If you feel that you cannot finish the design in one time, in one session, you don't have to. You can do the design and the coloring one time, and the coloring of the background maybe in another time. Or you can test yourself and see what happens, and you will be surprised because you will be able. I love like this pale turquoise has some, of course, the green undertones as well as a very light blue. I didn't want to, like, that green and red are complementary, so are their tints and tones. And I feel that these two colors complement each other very, very well. But if you wanted to try some other background, for example, if you want to play with analogous colors, you could choose an orange. If you want to play all with warm colors, you can go with a yellow, with a hot pink, or whatever your artistic personality tells you. And now into these meditation steps in which we need to keep going until our sky, so the background around the tree, is completely fulfilled. Find a method that works for you. Don't go random. You start from one side and then you fulfill the rest. You can go first, for example, around, between. So you prep basically your space, you outline the sessions that you need to, and probably this will give you a sense of order and will make the job not only easier because more organized, but mentally you will feel that you are moving a little faster. Methodology is important after all, right? The method that we apply to different tasks. Remember to breathe very intentionally, focusing on your breath very deeply, so we truly multiply the benefit of this practice. We are basically halfway through. almost there. Our final outline. And we finish the background. And now I'm going to grab extra fine Sharpies. Okay, I found my markers, and now one final touch. I will go around and then do these short lines and a little dot in every single leaves. And that is a little act of love toward our beautiful design. If you don't have like an extra fine Sharpies, you can use a regular tip. Just press very little on the paper so the lines won't expand so much, and overall it will look a little thinner than the trunk of the trees and the branches. So we have a nice contrast, and the leaves looks a little bit more delicate. If you want to double the line sometimes to make sure that you can cover the pencil very well, do so. Remember, the goal of this design is not to look perfect, but to feel authentic, and to use this practice to gain different benefits, some of which are connected to artistic skills and artistic knowledge. Some other instead are more for our characters, right? Or our emotional side or mental, right? Because being able to persevere and stay focused, repeating elements over and over again, give us a lot of stability, balance, relaxation, because we cannot stress ourselves about other stuff since we have plenty to do on the paper. I'm joking, but I want to say that you stay focused for an extended amount of time on a piece of paper, which for some of these young generation nowadays is a very difficult task. And those practices are definitely very beneficial to those type of people who struggle a little bit with ADHD, ADD, struggle a little bit with mental focus, or maybe because they use technology so often and for such an extended amount of time, they might find it very difficult to, ground ourselves and have our mind here present and connected with this very moment. And once again, we are also proving ourselves that something simple made just by lines of different kinds that create shapes and different colors, so very basic elements of art, can give us a beautiful, nice design that hopefully will open your mind and creativity towards more adaptation of the same designs or of the same elements or similar elements, right? This is how we boost our creativity through exposure, through practice, and then in Italy we say da cosa nasce cosa, which means from a thing another thing is born. From an idea another idea is born. From a design, infinite possibility to shape it differently, to use the design with different colors are born, and now you have them in your mind. You just have to release your creativity and see where it takes you. Beautiful, beautiful. And if you're doing this with children, you might want to take a little break. So for example, you can do the design and the coloring of the tree, the tree, like the trunk, the branches and the leaves, and then on a second session you can do the coloring of the background and these outlines and little pattern. But you will be able to achieve a very long time with the kids busy in something like a hands-on, something very organic and holistic, instead to be in front of a screen. And the same for you, because I know that some adults struggle with scrolling, right? Mostly in this time when we have so many news and some of which are kind of overwhelming. We need to be able to set the boundaries and remove ourselves from an extended exposure and experience of technology and media and screens in general. And this is a beautiful, beautiful proposal for that. For example, if you do it as a family, each one of you can choose a different color palette, and each one of you at the end will have a tree that is similar in the design, so they will go together very well, but different in color. And then you can buy a very affordable frame, right? If you have if you do 4 small, or 5 or 6 or whatever, how many you need, and then you can put them all together in a frame, or you can select a smaller individual frames and then put them all together in a wall. And this is beautiful because you're building also memory, right? Another hidden benefit of this type of activity is that you will become so fluent in lines and the control that you have of the pen, the pencil. So in many cases, for example, what I notice in school with my students, And sometimes I notice because I make the observation, sometimes because actually, and that is the best case, when they're like the students themselves notice a change. And many students tell me, Ms. B, since I've been practicing with your videos and I've been practicing so much art with you in school and outside, my calligraphy, my handwriting got very, like way better and nice and pretty and very clear. Of course, because they are the same fine motor skills. And if you're able to twist and turn, right, while you do art, you will gain fluency and control of the skill. So you will write better and better and have a beautiful calligraphy. It's important. You know that we think, oh, now everything is on computer. Well, it might not stay that way. Who knows? If we figure out that it's so bad that we want to return a little bit to paper and pen, you need that skill. We're almost at the end. Stay focused and make sure that you don't skip any leaves or petals, whatever you want to call them. Let's spend these last few minutes breathing deeply. And we finish. I know that you know me and I love dots, so this is what I would do. I would add the tiny little polka dots just to make it a little more whimsical and more connected with the spring and the season. You don't have to do this final step. If you're tired, you can just look at me by doing, and then you can make your decision. Or you can truly push yourself and say, well, I arrived until now and I'm gonna see this completely done, and I'm going to dedicate little extra time and effort to make it truly pretty. And in Italy we say, ho fatto 30, faccio anche 31, which means if I make it to 30, I can make it to 31. So let's go for one more little details and a little stretch. Very pretty, and definitely I need to shake my hands, and I hope that you enjoy this design, and I see you very soon with another. Ciao!